Hey YouTube, how are you guys doing? Today I would like to make a video where I'm talking about food choices and mood. And I think this is something that is so important. This is knowledge that our ancestors had that has been forgotten. And it's so mundane and it's so basic, but one of the biggest things that I want to talk about is basically what you're eating and how's it being prepared, right? So, have you guys ever had, a relative's food or your grandmother's food and there's just something special about it? There's a saying where you say this food was made with love and you can taste the love in it. Well, that's one of the basics of going into the energy transfer with food, which is basically if someone is cooking with love, you're going to receive that energy from the food. If someone is cooking quickly, if they're cooking fast, if they're in a rush, you're going to be able to taste it in the food. The food quality isn't going to be as good, and it can also get to the point where that food may make you feel sick. That right there is someone's energy being put into the food, and a lot of people don't realize when they're cooking that they're putting that energy into the food. So it's kind of like if you're cooking for a lot of people, if you're cooking for guests, make sure that you're in a good mood. Even jam out to some music, but never cook and serve other people when you're angry, and even for yourself, because you're absorbing that energy when you're cooking the food, right? Going a little bit deeper, I want to talk about fruits and vegetables, right? So let's take some fruits and vegetables that someone planted and then picked from their garden, and then let's take some fruits and vegetables that were mass produced in a store. If you eat the fruits and vegetables that were mass produced, it doesn't taste the same. And of course, you don't have a lot of things that may be genetically modified, but it doesn't have that same zest, right? Let's say an apple, for example. If you get an apple and it's just like, all right, we need to grow this apple, we need to get it out there, it doesn't have that same spark as the apple that you may get from a garden or from a small farm that actually took the time to cultivate the practice and putting all that energy into the apple, right? Going a little bit deeper for people who eat meat. If you're eating meat, right, and that animal suffered, the animal didn't have a good life, if it was tortured, if it was basically butchered and it wasn't that smooth, if it was just like if they were chasing the animal around, all those stress hormones are released into the animal, and whenever that meat is processed and produced, all of that is going to be in the meat as well, so then you're absorbing that energy. Y'all, it goes very deep. So it's just like being aware of what you're eating, being aware of how it was produced, being aware of too, like certain things when you eat it, how do you feel afterwards. And that was a big thing for me with certain fast food places. Like I'll still eat Chick-fil-A every once in a while, and some other places, but McDonald's, whenever I used to eat McDonald's, I would feel like shit afterwards, and I'm like, I can't eat McDonald's anymore, just because the way that I was feeling. I'm like, why should I eat this if I'm going to feel this way each and every time? And I'm like, I can get other places that are similar to McDonald's that are better and that don't give me that feeling, right? So I want to talk about also foods and how they affect your mood, okay? So I brought some foods today. Let's say this apple right here, right? This is an apple from a small local farm. And basically, I get like apple a day for each week, and when I eat these I just feel amazing, I feel uplifted. And I would say that an apple is a food that is on the living side. It has enzymes, it's really good for your body in many ways, and you can feel it whenever you eat this. It's just like your mood elevates, right? So because an apple is a fruit and vegetation, it automatically uplifts your food and it uplifts you in general. Then we have garlic right here, and I love putting this with like rice, with some salsa, if I'm cooking some meat dishes, and it just gives them a lot of flavor. But even going deeper, garlic is a natural antibiotic. Garlic is sulfuric. It is also naturally anti-cancer. So if you're constantly eating garlic and putting it in all of your meals, your body will not be able to develop cancer cells because the garlic keeps them at bay, it kills them. And then it's also really good for preventing the flu. There's an old school remedy where like you'll get 3 cloves of garlic, strain them into some tea, make some hot water, put a little bit of ginger in there. If you drink that, even if you have the flu, if you're coming down with being sick, trust and believe me, it's gonna go right out the door, because all of the antimicrobial properties that are in the garlic are just very strong. This is something that's old school. It goes back to the times of our ancestors, and this knowledge right here is something that isn't taught to you. It's just like at times the doctor won't tell you, okay, you need to eat this. The doctor is going to push the medication because that goes into the line of what they're taught, and also goes to the line of being a part of the bigger pharmaceutical business, right? So it's kind of just knowing like, how can you take care of yourself? What are the basic things that you can do? Because fruits, vegetables, eating good, seasoning your food right, having that balance is cheap. But if you go into the doctor and you're getting bills, that becomes expensive. So another thing is knowing too, what are you putting in your body? So if you're eating a mixture of lively foods, and then you're having, okay, some meat every once in a while, that's okay because you're balancing things out. Someone who eats meat all the time, you may notice that you're feeling very sluggish. You may be feeling angry sometimes. You may be getting moody. Well, you got to think about it like this. You're basically consuming dead flesh, right? It's like we're distanced to the point where we think about it. Okay, this was an animal once. You see the meat in the store, but you don't connect it to the point that it was once a living being, right? That's where that detachment occurs, right? But let's say you get your meat and it's freshness from the butcher. Okay, it tastes different, but even still, you shouldn't be eating meat primarily. You also need to have fruits and vegetables so that you're able to get those living sources in your body, because then you're able to feel grounded at the same time. You're also able to be elevated. But it's just like if you're eating all that meat and you're just grounding, you're going to feel funky, because it's like, wow, there are no nutrients in your body. There's nothing for you to connect to or elevate with the upper amount of energy. So that right there is important. Also think about too, what did your ancestors eat? How did your family eat? So one big thing for me is that I notice I love fruits and vegetables, but I can't, having meat is a big part of my diet and a big part of my lifestyle. So I always make sure that I have good quality meat, and I also make sure that I'm balancing out with fruits and vegetables, because if I don't have meat, I start to feel down. But if I think about it, my ancestors who are from Africa, some of my ancestors who were Native American and in Europe, they had meats in their diet. So I think that's something important too, is to know, how did your ancestors eat? Another big thing, and I have another video about this, is to always hydrate. Have the element of water in your life every single day. And one of the biggest reasons as to why I say this is because if you're not hydrated, you can feel it. I remember when I was little, I used to drink like maybe one water bottle a day, and I would be in elementary school and I would just be like slowly sipping it, like, I don't want to drink this, I want something sweet, this is boring. But maybe when I got to middle school, I started upping my water intake. Felt amazing, no more headaches, I just felt flowy. And it's like, if you think about it, humans' bodies are 98% water. Water is a big part of us, so you need to also make sure that you're staying hydrated. It'll bring a lot of clarity in your life. You will feel very mobile. You won't feel sluggish. You'll be able to concentrate, and then also your body temperature will stay regulated. You'll feel very light. Whereas if you're not drinking a lot of water, you have a feeling of heaviness, and then it's also, you aren't able to focus as easily because your nerves may not be getting the nourishment that they're needing from that hydration, right? So another thing, you guys, is that I want to talk about gut health and how gut health can affect depression. So basically, your gut is something that is connected to your brain automatically. However healthy your gut is will influence your brain. So basically, making sure that you have a good gut health, making sure that you're producing a lot of probiotics in your system by eating prebiotic or probiotic rich foods. So that can include things like putting vinegar on some green beans, apples, sauerkraut, having oranges, lemons every once in a while, even if it's putting lemon juice over something, making sure that you're having spinach, fresh grains, some granola, even if it's mixing in with some trail mix, but making sure that your gut is healthy. And one of the biggest reasons as to why I say that is because when you're becoming depressed, if you're not healthy, if you're not eating the right things, automatically that poor gut health will influence the brain, which is the dopamine levels go down, the serotonin. And what happens is that it starts to affect you mentally, and you're thinking like, wow, like I'm really feeling down, but you're not realizing that it can be connected with your diet. If you're eating a lot of starches, if you're eating a lot of breads, a lot of sugary foods, that will start to produce fungus in your system, and then that gets even worse, and it's like you're dealing with parasites and all of that. So you want to make sure that you're eating nutrient-rich foods, and also making sure that you're staying hydrated, and then even throwing in some teas. These things are very important. So you guys, I just wanted to talk about food choices and how it affects your mood, the energy transfer that is involved. Please like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you think. Peace.